I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahamaland to the foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Foundation with Howard Grant, jamming with you on this beautiful day. Hope you're good out there. Let me know if you can be able to hear me. Put a thumbs up. I'm talking. Send me a thumbs up and let me know exactly where we are. Oh, Jesus. What is this? All right, we're jamming right now and being able to talk about these particular things. I know that you want to talk about a great deal of stuff. The House of Assembly has just been prorogued. We can talk about that. It's a beautiful day. Last evening, we had a great time sitting down at the U.S. Embassy, invited a good chunk of persons out to an event last evening. The event was called the Reception for Emerging Political Leaders. That's what it was called. A reception for emerging political leaders. I'm sitting here like, why these people invite me? I mean, listen, flattered, talk to me. Just be very clear about this. Flattered, absolutely. Grateful for the opportunity to be able to rub shoulders with these emerging leaders in the Bahamas and leaders in every right, in every state. But I don't know whether or not I've actually been able to speak with clarity that so like I get in politics. I never say that. Did I say that? I never. I don't know. So I don't know what it's all about. So we're gonna be able to talk about those things and a great deal more. James Julmus, if I'm saying your last name right, James Julmus put a little post out there. I can put it up so you guys can be able to see that. And got me getting, what did he say? I didn't get cussed. I didn't get cussed. But, it was an event. Jeff can be able to do those things. I want to be able to listen back to make sure that you can be able to hear me. So I'm just going to be able to touch this. Okay, yeah. Okay, you should be able to hear me good. All right. I'm excited about these things, man. We can be talking about these stuff. Listen, I ain't got no papers today. Forget it. I ain't got no papers, so we can follow along what's happening on the news. We can look at their outlets online, and we can kind of make that kind of determination. Today's the 27th of March, 2027. It's a great deal happening out there. Let's see if we can go to the office of the Prime Minister and listen to the proroguing of the House of Assembly. Now, I know a lot of you guys want to be able to talk about proroguing in comparison to dissolving, right? So the House of Assembly has not been dissolved. Dissolve is an indication of exactly what it is. The entire dissolution of the House of Assembly is an eradication, is a completion, is it done. Proroguing is just a temporary blip. We're going to talk about those things and have a great show with you today. Let me see if I can be able to find this information before we go on and talk about these things, right? So I'm going to go to the Office of the Prime Minister page. Let me see if I can get there. Office of the Prime Minister's page. Let me see. I think they should have been able to play it at Office of the Prime Minister. All right.
Earlier this week, I met Her Excellency, my fellow Bahamians. Earlier this week, I met Her Excellency, the Governor General, and advised that, in accordance with Article 66(1) of our Constitution, Parliament be prorogued as of today, Friday, the 27th of March, 2026. My fellow Bahamians, earlier this week, I met Her Excellency, the Governor General, and advised that, in accordance with Article 66(1) of our Constitution, Parliament be prorogued as of today, Friday, the 27th of March, 2026.
So the House of Assembly has been prorogued, and we need to be able to get a clear understanding exactly what's what as it relates to the House of the Assembly being prorogued. And so we just wanted to kind of put this in here and get all this information for you so you can be able to understand that and understand the keys associated with that, right? So this is an important constitutional distinction, especially in the Westminster system like the Bahamas, because the proroguing or the prorogation and the dissolution are not the same thing, even though both affect the life of Parliament. Let's break it down and be more clear about these particular things. What a proroguing is in the House of Assembly, and the prorogation or the prorogation or the proroguing of the House of Assembly, the formal ending of a parliamentary session without ending the Parliament itself. A formal ending of a parliamentary session without ending Parliament itself. So Parliament is continuous, right? And we would have seen over the past administration, they would have prorogued the House of Assembly, and then they found themselves to dissolve the House of Assembly. The prorogation was only to be able to kind of get it a jump start. And if I'm corrected, if I stand to be corrected, this would have been the second time that the House of Assembly would have been prorogued in this term. I distinctly remember Ryan Pinder being able to prorogue the House of Assembly. And in the proroguing of the House of Assembly, it was just stopping. It gave a fresh optimism and a fresh opportunity for a new session to begin, because of the continuation that exists in this particular space. You carry these particular things on until you stop it, and then you can kind of start it over again and bring that to the forefront. Did Ryan Pinder do that? I don't know. I have to research that and find out exactly what's what. In simple terms, Parliament is paused and not ended. All sittings stop. Bills that haven't passed usually lapse unless they're carried over. And the MPs still hold their seats. The government remains in office. And in the Bahamas, the Governor General acting on the advice of the Prime Minister, and then they prorogue it to reset the legislation agenda. We talked that, to reset the legislation agenda. So I remember this distinctly. The legislative agenda had to be reset to ensure that the PLP could be able to get on course with what their agenda was and being able to do that. So they prorogued at one juncture. I think it would have been in 2022. 22, 23. Anyway, I can remember. To prepare for a new session with a new speech from the throne. Now, it says to me that for you to be able to get back in there, you need to be able to have all of these objectives. The speech from the throne is an articulation from what the objectives of the governments are, or the government is, during this particular parliamentary seating, right? Now, the seating could be continuous, right? It could be 5 years continuously, right? Or you could stop it. You could prorogue it. You could be able to have that kind of a legislative fresh start and do these particular things. However, this dissolution or the dissolving of the House of Assembly comes entirely when they're prepared to be able to do this. If you remember, in 2021, when the House of Assembly was prorogued by the Speaker of the House. And as a result of the House of Assembly being prorogued, we would have seen House and Moutry take on this kind of an advice to say that if the House is prorogued, the Speaker of the House still has authority and we could be able to hold meetings in Rawson Square. He put a tent out there and they had their little things. Minister didn't like that. I think he was just trying to be able to reset everything. And as a result of that, Minister dissolved the House of Assembly and called a snap election. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? All right, this is what happened, right? And sometimes they use strategically to pause the political pressure or on a debate. So these things happen. It could be used as a strategy to be able to get to a particular objective at sometimes. You can be able to see that, right? Now, what is the dissolving of the House of Assembly? The dissolution. What it means is that the complete termination of the Parliament, triggering a general election. That's what it is. It says the complete termination of Parliament triggering a general election. In simple terms, Parliament is ended entirely. All MPs lose their seats. There's no more MPs. The country enters election mode. The general election must follow. In the Bahamas, these particular things happen, done by the Governor General on the advice of the Prime Minister, must occur within the constitutional limits of the maximum 5-year term, unless it's earlier when the snap election calls. So we could be able to look at these things and understand this. And the feature is the session ends with the prorogation and the dissolution. Parliament ends, right? With the MPs, they keep their seats with the prorogation, but dissolution, they lose their seats, right? The government, it continues with the prorogation, but with dissolution, it continues temporarily caretaker's mode. Temporarily in caretaker's mode, right? Prorogation, no election is required, but the dissolution of the House of Assembly, absolutely election is required. Bills, they usually lapse. And then with the dissolution, right, of the House of Assembly entirely, all bills end. The purpose of the prorogation is to kind of reset the agenda. And dissolution's purpose, or the dissolving's purpose, is to trigger a general election, to be able to do that in those particular areas. And prorogation required before the dissolution, it's not necessarily required. It's not a requirement, but is often used as a step before the dissolution in practice, right? Typically the sequence, and I think that we would have been able to see that sequence over the course of the last 2 general elections. We would have been able to see that over the course of the, no, I don't think, did Christie prorogue the House of Assembly before he dissolved it? In 2017. I can't remember if there was a proroguing of the House of Assembly prior to dissolution, but nonetheless, this is what happened in these particular states. Typically, these are the sequence in Westminster systems. Parliament is prorogued. Shortly after, Parliament is dissolved. Election is called. However, the Prime Minister can advise the dissolutions directly. They can just dissolve the House of Assembly. They can, right? There is no strict constitutional requirements to prorogue first. Hold on. Oh, Lord. I try to remember who prorogued the House of Assembly. I know it was on the House and Moutry. That had to have been minutes. Because it was provoking. Well, Howson was provoking. It was provocative in his posture. And this kind of a provoking thing, I think it jolted the Prime Minister to being able to make this kind of decision that he did. It was a provocative position that he's taken. So the House of Assembly is prorogued, ladies and gentlemen. We knew that there was kind of going on a break for these particular things. So I can say this to you. Get registered to vote. Register to vote. Register to vote. Register to vote. Register to vote. The Prime Minister told you, get yourself registered to vote before Easter. Now, there are conversations, you and I didn't talk with this relentlessly, continuously, perpetually, excitingly. We talked about, well, at least I was excited, I don't know about you. But we talked about this sort of a concept that if I was sitting in the seat right now, I would make a decision to be able to go to a very quick general election, simply because of what's happening from the world over. I said this. I told you this. Simply for what is happening from the world over, I would go to a quick general election. For no other purposes to just being able to identify what's happening. Even if the PLP wins or they loses, I think it'll benefit both political organizations to be able to regroup themselves to know how they approach these particular things as it relates to a general election. I think it's the best thing that they can be able to do at this particular time. If you ask me, with humility, I say that. Go to a quick general election. Howard, why do we have to go to a quick general election? The prime minister can take his time, blah, 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 blah. That's what you want to say. All right, cool. But listen, there's going to be pressure coming down to the prime minister. I'm telling you, man, this is going to be pressure coming down to the prime minister. And this kind of a pressure is going to place him in the position that he has to make a quick decision. And people, after they've already been pinched in their pockets and knowing that they've already been pinching pennies and their pockets are hit significantly, no matter how much money is, because I don't see much money flowing. Can I say this? I don't see much money moving around the city outside of Fort Charlotte. Can I say this? Outside of Fort Charlotte, I don't really see this kind of a movement. Members of Parliament are taking on this kind of a position. Those who are established, those who have accessibility, even independents, in their various capacities. I see them doing cleanups. So this is always a commendable thing to be doing in the constituencies and the communities that you could just be able to clean up. We see Andrew Blue Johnson being able to take on a very strong position and being able to clean up. Listen, rinse and repeat. He is cleaning up Freetown significantly and really being able to do that. And that's on his dime. You know, he's an independent candidate. He's not with the COI and nor with the FNM. He was supposed to be with the FNM. The FNM decided to go with Lincoln Deal instead. But as a result of being able to go with Lincoln Deal, Andrew Blue Johnson indicates that Freetown won blue. Freetown won blue. And he decided to be able to take his independent campaign. He said that, sat with me on the rundown, and said that as a result of these particular things, then he decided that he wants to go in one direction or another. And in making that decision to go in this particular direction, he has identified finances to do some cleanup and to do some other stuff. But more specifically, what we're seeing come to the forefront is cleanup. And we're watching Zane Lightbourne, in his particular capacity as Minister of Environment, create a space for cleanup. We're watching Jomo Campbell create a space for cleanup. We're watching a lot of I'm not going to name all of these particular people, but these are the people I pass and I see them doing this stuff. But cleanup is one of the biggest things that they can do now. So I'm watching them create a space to be able to throw your stuff in the dumpsters and all these things like that. But I ain't see no money spending. I ain't see. You be cleaning up the yard, but we ain't putting no decorations there. We ain't got no. You ain't making it a green space. You cleaning it up. You ain't find some volunteers to throw some greenery down there, some shrub down there, some this and that, and clean up the place and put some soil down there and rake the yard down and make it a green space. We ain't seeing that. That requires money. Cleanup requires money also, but less money to get to your objective in terms of being able to see it nice, neat, and clean. It costs you less money in comparison to kind of being able to replace that with some palms or some bougainvilleas or whatever the case may be, or some fruits or vegetables or whatever the case may be. That requires money. I don't see anybody spending no money. And green spaces should have been one of the things they did. I think they're making green spaces in Fort Charlotte. I stand to be corrected, but I think that that's what they're doing. I know I would have heard Sebas talk about it and being able to do those things. One of the initiatives that he has in terms of the entrepreneurial program, green spaces, fixing the road, so forth and so on, in these particular spaces. So this is what we would have seen, and this is sort of the position. This is exciting, guys. The House of Assembly has been prorogued, And there's a lot of things going on. There is a lot of things going on. I don't know if you're excited. I'm excited. Guys, get ready to vote. Get ready to vote. Hold on. Somebody text me right now. Let me see what this text is saying. FNM. Ingram did in 2010-2011. He prorogued the House of Assembly and started a new legislative agenda. But that still wasn't in preparation. It was for his new legislative agenda, but he didn't use it as a strategic approach to being able to prepare himself for the general election. If we remember when the House of Assembly was prorogued in 2017, with the proroguing of the House of Assembly, we knew that the dissolving of the House of Assembly would have been inevitable. However, we didn't know how and when. Minnis still had a good time to go. He still had good time to go. We didn't know if this was going to be a shuffle. We didn't know what it was. But that one step led him right into the dissolving of the House of Assembly. Bam, and took everybody by storm, and they were like, whoa. And so that's that kind of a position what happened in that space. And so this is it's important that you don't be emotional with these things, It's important that you don't be emotional with these things, because these things, listen to me, it requires cooler heads to prevail. Politics in this country requires cooler heads to prevail. And when we identify this, and when we talk like this, I know people listen, it's difficult for Minnis in his particular capacity, former Prime Minister Minnis. I think his cage was rattled just a bit. I think he was bombarded and overwhelmed in his particular capacity with what was happening with Dorian, what was happening with, and I make no excuses, but he's a man. And there is fragility, there's a fragile nature that exists, even if it's a slither in every man. And there is a tipping point for those particular person. I think Minnis had reached that kind of a tipping point, and Halton wouldn't stop. My God, Halton wouldn't stop. My God, he wouldn't stop. And it placed him in the position. It placed him in this position where he made the decision. It wasn't the best decision. It wasn't the best. I mean, it wasn't the best. I don't know whether or not the FNM could have been able to provide or, had an opportunity to be able to do nothing outside of that, but it really wasn't the best. It really wasn't the best, right? I want to show you something, man. I had a great opportunity last night to be able to hang out with these guys. I'm telling you the truth. Last night I had a great opportunity to be able to sit down with a great deal of people. And not sit down. Well, it was a reception, so a lot of people was just out there. They sent this in to me about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. They invited me to this space. And I didn't know what it was about. I just didn't know. I can't lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you. I didn't know what it was about. My mind went up and down, left and right. My mind went up and down, left and right, all over the place, and trying to figure out exactly what's what. Now, they have a new ambassador, and I didn't have an opportunity to meet the ambassador. And I want to be able to have a good conversation with the ambassador, invite him to our space, and just kind of have a good conversation and talk about one of the things was his agenda, right, or the Americans' agenda for the Bahamas and alignment. I want to talk to him about Marco Rubio and the Secretary of State in this particular capacity. I want to talk to him potentially about HAGSAT and the Department of War in the United States of America. I want to talk about the relationship that exists here. I want to talk about the sort of an idea that exists between China and America, and where he sees us in this, and the expectation of how we perform in these particular steadfast. I want to talk about him. I want to talk to him about his faith also. Last night, there was he and his wife, right, a beautiful lady. Her family actually has roots. Their father and mother lived in Long Island for 50-some years. And so they have an established position here. And so I'd like to talk to him about that, and talk to him about his faith and that kind of a faith that he has and carries, and he's not afraid to articulate, and really being able to bring out in general spaces to talk about those things and how God is good all the time. That's how he started off. He said, God is good. And everybody say, all the time. So I said, oh, yeah, okay, let's see what's going on here, right? So it was a great opportunity. People mixed and mingle. C.A. Nuri from media was there. I looked around to see if there was any. I'm sure they were invited, but no one else showed up. And so I didn't know whether or not this was from a media perspective that they invited me, or because emerging political leaders, bananas. Like listen to me. I'm flattered by the concept, but I hadn't put none of my money behind this. Talk to me. I haven't put my money behind this pursuit of political leadership. And I was asked by some persons who I didn't see for a very long time. I was asked last evening, how come you ain't running? How come you ain't getting no nomination? How come you ain't doing this and doing that? And I was like, I wasn't even thinking about that. That was not even on my mind. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even thinking about if I get nominated and so forth and so on. That was not on my mind. It wasn't. My mother could tell you, man. Me and my mother, we've been having conversations about these things, about the possibility of being able to run. Maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago, I was saying that if 8 Mile Rock sits alone, I want to be able to go down there and represent 8 Mile Rock, right? I said that. My mother knows that, and she knows how I feel about that. She knows how impassioned I am about being able to represent. I believe that because I know the community inside out, I know the people, I know the history of the people, I would have loved to have an opportunity to be able to represent. I'm gonna lie, if the FNM or the PLP had asked me to represent West Grand Bahama 18 months ago, 12 months ago, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be real with you. It would have been a serious consideration. It would have been a serious consideration. If they'd asked me that in, I don't know, April, May of last year, I would have seriously considered. But after I started putting my money, my effort, my focus, my commitment into my business, I decided to be able to kind of pull back from it. Now, that doesn't negate the fact that I have a deep desire to be able to see 8 Mile Rock in a particular way. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I believe that I could be excellent. I think everybody does. I mean, come on, don't fight me. I think everybody believes that they'll be the best representative that a constituency, a space can be able to offer. Listen, man, I'll be the best. Yeah. Right? And so I'm no different. I believe that I would be the best at these particular things, if afforded the opportunity. I'm telling you the truth. If afforded the opportunity, I believe that I would have been the best in this particular space. But I'm going to be honest with you. I ain't got the time, man. I don't have the time right now. I don't have the time. I got to get on the air. I didn't expect to not be on the air by now. I did not expect that. I got my antenna outside and my transmitter ain't reach yet. Transmitter is what you need, the mechanism that actually amplifies what we're saying in this kind of a small space and sends it out to the antenna. So that transmitter, that it transmits the sound is one of the things that I have not received as yet. So we're waiting on that to come from across the street. And we just haven't gotten it as yet. And so it's just life. I mean, I'm not going to sit down here, bite my nails, and kind of stress out about it until all my edges go, right? Whenever me and my wife row and she get her hair done, right? She's get her hair done. But there's, sometimes she's get the little braids. Sometimes she like the flat braids or the, plaits or the shingles, right? Sometimes she like the shingles. So when anything happen, listen, I guess this is just what has happened. Because she can blame me. She can blame me. I am the reason why when the woman pull her hair too tight here and she try to loose it and a little bit go on from right here, you stressing me out. My edges, you stressing me out. You understand what I'm saying? Like, Yeah. I'm not going to I'm not going to let y'all stress me out. What is this? Why is this not doing? Hold on. Yeah, I'm not going to let y'all stress me out. And I ain't into that. I ain't into that. I ain't into that. I'm not interested in it. Someone told me that they wanted to run independent. And I just kind of put some stuff together. I said, if you're going to run independent, I believe that this is what it's going to be. It's going to cost you, to make a dent, it's going to cost you $75,000, right? And the only thing that you can possibly do with $75,000 in terms of making this dent is to assure that the PLP retains the seat. If you're going to win, you're going to have to spend over $150,000. Now, this might sound strange, right? Some constituencies require more based upon the kind of insatiable appetite the constituents have, right? There is an insatiable appetite. People don't satisfy. It's like Grammy say, your stomach ain't on the bottom. You understand? There's an insatiable appetite for these particular persons. And for you to be able to find victory, people are no longer, and this is unfortunate, but it's what it is, there is not this kind of a patriotic concept and idea that people put, they assess you, they identify your qualities, they identify all these things, and they make a determination that you may be the best man for the job and choose you. That's not what's happening here. They choose you based upon what you could do for them. And it's unfortunate, but that's what it is. They choose you based upon what you could do for them. And that's just what it is. And oh, that ain't what it was supposed to be. Oh, Lord, I forget. I'm trying to put this WhatsApp on my thing, right? Because I got something I want to show you guys. So I'm trying to open up the WhatsApp on my computer. And it seemed like it giving me a hard time, but I got it. I got it together. I forgot that I had to open it up with this thing. I got to go in this thing and go to link devices. Link device. Yeah, so yeah, okay, got it. So there's just this thing, man. If you're gonna make a dent, you're gonna spend $75,000. There's a desperation in the constituency. There's an appetite in the constituency. There's an expectation. There's no patriotism. There's no idea that you'll be the best man over there. If in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once people could feed themselves, they can take care of all their basic needs. Once they can be able to ensure that they can take care of their family, their loved ones, and they can be able to identify their strengths, they could continue to move to that place and position of self-actualization. And in moving to self-actualization, then that's the embodiment of self. That's self, that's, you don't want to say self-centered, but that is the ability to be able to stand on your own. And once you're content, once you're comfortable, once you can find yourself in a position where you don't have to lean on anyone for anyone for dependency, lean on anyone for survival, then you can make this decision. Unfortunately, a great deal of our communities, especially those communities in the inner city, those communities in the outer quadrants of the country, right, on the outskirts, in the family of islands, those communities may not necessarily place them in the position of relentless. For 35 cents a day, you can feed a Grand Bahamian. Like, they're in that kind of a position, right? For 35 cents a day, feed an Abaconian. Like, it's not that kind of a thing that's happening right now. There's a level of pride that keeps people from, hey, listen, I need something, right? So people will endure and make do. Grammy say make do. Make do with what they got in comparison to being able to say to you that they don't have. But if I'm going to be very honest with you, there is an expectation that their members of parliament provide. And that's just a conditioning in the minds of a great deal of people. And so when you show up, especially in an impoverished position, an impoverished constituency, and a financially challenged constituency, let's say it like that. We don't have to say impoverished. In a financially challenged constituency, you find yourself in this kind of a position where people are looking at you and they expect you to perform. Bring this money, bring the bag, bring the bag. Independent, I tell you, Blue in Freetown right now, I guarantee you he paying people bills. He help ensuring whatever he got to help them with. Because parents might not say, I need something. They might need something. But parents ain't gonna waste their time asking you for something for them. But if you could take care of my children, baby, you take care of me. Trust me, you got me. Once you can take care of my children. You take care of my children, you got me. If you could take care of my children, you got me. And that's what's happening. And I believe that's what's happening here. So, let me see. Hold on. All right, I can show you something. Woo, Jesus. I can show you something right now. I was waiting for this thing to fix. And it took a little while. I laugh at it. My wife laugh at it. And for my wife laugh at it, it ain't no big deal because she don't laugh at everything. I can tell you that. She ain't into that. All right? Oh, why you do that? Why don't you do that? No, I ain't into all of that. Right? This is image number 4. Like I said to you, I went out last night, had a great opportunity. If you can go online, if you have any of these particular persons, there was a photo. Hold on. Oh, Lord, hang on. Hold on. No, this is sick. I take a photo. Well, James took a photo of Fraser talking to me last night. Right? I gotta show you the photo. Okay? I gotta show you the photo. And then I gotta tell you, Fraser called me this morning. James put this up last night. Fraser called me this morning. Okay? I got to show you the photo. Okay? Don't fight me. Let me find the thing. This was what I was doing the whole time while I was talking to you. I got to show you this photo and let you know that, you know. Let me see if I can take this out. Hold on. All right. Yes, let's take it out. Okay, hold on. Relax. You can see that I can put it right up. I can put it right up. How I put the photo up? Just relax. I can put it up and down. All right. I tried to email it to me. My email put it in the outbox. I don't know why. And let me see if I can drag and drop. Let me see. I take it off his Facebook page. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Okay, these things stress you out, boy. It got to be easier than this. Something got to be easier than this for me to be able to move and transfer all of the download files and all these things. See, this when you're using free things, you have problems. Everything with glitters ain't gold. All right, let's go. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jesus. Let me see. Hold on. Oh Lord. I didn't get you dead hype for this picture and it ain't doing. Let me take a break. Let me take a break until I can find it properly. Let me take a break. Because it wouldn't show up. I don't know what happened. I put it there. Mm-mm. It ain't it. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. This is an exhausting experience. Hold on. Quick break, guys. Quick break. Give me 3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes so I can be able to get in this thing and get it done. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. It's gonna be right back after this.
planet of Earth. Gonna take come from the planet of
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. The Foundation with Howard Grant being able to jam with you. This is the photo here. Last night we took this photo. Just being able to talk the way that we are. And you know me. If you know me, you know Phrasette. You know we from Grand Mama. You know we from the FNM. Or we were, I was part of the FNM. At one point, this isn't, I don't know whether or not this is like a big thing. I guess I don't know. I mean, she was telling me, she was saying, let me tell you what she was saying. She was saying, Howard, I don't have an opponent in Central Grand Bahama. So I was laughing, right? I was laughing. I said, friends, you can't say that Paco right here, right? Paco was right here. Paco said, what she say, Howard? I say, she said she don't have an opponent, and he said, Jesus. So I say, Paco, do you think you could do better than Julian? He said, Julian, who's Julian? I said, Julian B.D. Russell. He said, Howard, Julian lost, I will win. Fraser said, I can't give you the depth and details of this particular of the kind of conversation that we had, right? But this was it. This was just Phrasette was making me laugh. This wasn't nothing intimate or whatnot. Now, James just kind of snapped this photo. She didn't know he was taking a photo. I didn't know he was taking a photo. When I saw the photo last night on his page, because he deliberately, in fact, if you see a picture with him and Travis and Jamal, and there's a bunch of people he took a picture with. He said, Howard, can you take this picture for me, please? I said, no problem, I take the picture. I took the picture. Okay? One of those pictures that he has. I took the picture. So it wasn't no big deal. He was setting people up for a formal shot last evening. Okay? So he would ask, he said, hey, listen, I want to take this picture and can you do that for me? Right? So no problem, man. I could take the picture. It wasn't no big deal. Like, it wasn't like a big deal or nothing like that. And I took the picture. It was no big deal, right? It's James. Between James and C.A. Nuri, you know something was going to kind of spill out the room to make it look like it was something. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of persons in there. There was a lot of FNMs in there, a lot of PLPs in there, a lot of COIs in there. We had Linda in there, who is in Mount Moriah. We had Dr. MacGyver in there from Kalani. We had Charlotte Green in there. We had Miriam Daxon in there from the COI. So it was a good mix and a healthy mix of people. It was cool, man. It was a cool jam. I enjoyed it. And I say to myself, man, I got to get out to these things more often. Yeah, it'd be cooped up in the house. My wife is keeping me in there like it's damn Rapunzel or something like that. Howard, let down your golden hair. Like, listen, baby, you can't keep trapping me in here. You think marriage means, like, jail? It's too much. But nonetheless, this was a great event. I had a great evening. It was great to see some people. So Safent and I spoke. I know these people. Yo, don't mind these FNMs playing peculiar with me. I know every flipping one of them I know. Every one of them I know. Every one of them I know. I don't know all the PLPs. I've met a great deal of them over the years, but every one of the FNMs I know. Now the newer ones, the brand new fellas on the block, I don't know these guys. But Fraser, them, I know them. I know Paco. I'm from Grand Bahama. The only person I don't know in the whole lineup coming out of Grand Bahama, candidates ratified or otherwise, potential candidates, only person I don't know, and I'd like to get to know him, I don't know who he is I think his name is Eddie Wong, whatever Wong is. Wong. What's his first name? I can't remember his first name, but he's Wong. Out of Marco City, right? The white guy. I don't know him, right? Conky Joe. I don't know him, right? But I'd like to meet him, like to get to know him, and like to be able to talk about these things. I don't know him. But everybody else I know. All the candidates in West Grand Bahama I know. All the candidates in Central Grand Bahama, I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know them. Marco City, I know these people. Pine Ridge, I know these people. Marco City, I know. Pinta, I don't know Wong, like I said, right? But I know Pine Ridge. I know everybody in Pine Ridge. I know these I know these people. You know what I mean? Like I know these people. And this is before I was on radio. Before I ever did anything with radio, I know these people. I know Fraser a long time. I know Fraser. This ain't Fraser first time to the rodeo. Fraser has always been an enthusiast to be able to assist. She tell you right off the top, she teached for X amount of years, what she would have done, and so forth and so on. Fraser she's good people. She's good people. And she's in a constituency that is predominantly Free National Movement, that has voted and only voted for the Free National Movement, that the PLP has come close to victory in this constituency, but never a cigar. No cigar. They've come close to victory, but no cigar. Right? Including me. I ran as an independent in the constituency. I grabbed 300 votes out of the 300 and something votes out of the constituency the first go round out the gate. But no cigar. My God, that wasn't even backward paper, dude. Cigar. That wouldn't even be the tobacco what you could sprinkle in there. Is cigar. My God, I didn't even get the cotton when it's coming. Nothing. Right? So that's just what it is. I didn't even get an aroma of the cigar during this particular time. But it was a cool time. And I had a great opportunity. So you see, Fraser, all Fraser was doing is telling me, Howard, they don't know. This is how you know how long I've been in these particular capacities. You know what I've done in this particular constituency. You know what this and that. They say this ain't even an F&M thing. This is Fraser. Fraser has been working for a long time. I got to be able to talk with Fraser so she can be able to let you know this kind of a passionate position that she has and what her expectations are for this constituency. Because she was just talking back and forth with Paco Deal. I didn't have a chance to be able to say to her, to ask her, hey, what about Iram? What about Iram Lewis and being able to see those particular things? I didn't have a chance to be able to ask her that. And so this is essentially where we are in that kind of a capacity. But it was nothing, man. Fraser calls me this morning and she asked me to be able to reach out to James and tell James, please take that down. You don't know people's relationship. You don't know how they view these things. You don't know whether or not they see humor in it. Because last night when he put it up, I put a laughing emoji to it, right? And he put it up, I put a laughing emoji to it. And I say, baby, you wouldn't believe what James. Now, she don't know James, but she know James in terms of he's a blogger and he always putting up things. Everyone knows, if you're paying attention to social media and politics more specifically, James is going to put some stuff up. So she knew exactly what's what. So I say, and she knows Fraser, and I know Fraser. She knows Fraser. So I say, you wouldn't believe what James put up. She put it there. She laughed. When she saw it, she laughed. I laugh. And I laugh on the thing. I just pressed laugh. Fraser say, Howard. Excuse me. She called me this morning. Howard. I can tell you everything she's thinking. But let's just say she was disappointed in this sort of a underhanded approach. That's what she said. I thought this was good political fun, in my view. But hey, let's remember these people out here for victory, and she needs no one to be steered in the way of perceiving something contrary. You never know what people are saying. You don't know. So I asked James if he could kindly, and James, I ask you again if you're watching, if you can kindly, for me, for Fraser, please take that down, because I don't know if she getting row. I don't know if she have any issues. I don't know. I don't know how it's perceived, but she didn't appreciate it, and she didn't see the humor in it. I saw it, which is okay. All right. So I ask that you can be able to kind of take that down for me, please, my boy. I really would appreciate it if you do that for me, just to be able to make sure that everything's balanced. A lot of persons don't have that kind of a political funny bone, but sometimes if you don't laugh at yourself, you'll cry. And I know about that, so I'm not going to fight. All right, so that's that, man. This was a great opportunity last evening to be able to talk about these things. Let me see James. Let me see what James says so far. I know James see it already. He on the internet every couple of minutes. So let me see what he say. Mm-mm. Wait. Yeah, he ain't say nothing yet. He laughed. He put a laughing emoji. And I asked him to take it down. He put a laugh. I don't know. But phrase that, if this is any point of clarity, if this is any consolation for you in your particular capacity, um, yeah, it's. I didn't see like it was a big deal. It's just me now. I didn't think it was a big deal. But everybody can see things how I see it. Everybody can see it the same way. And so I'm hoping that for the purposes of what we're doing, let me see, man. I don't know what happened. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Let me see what James say. Okay, he says, okay, photo taken down. Okay, let's check it out. Let me see if you see anything, brother. Okay, you took it down. Okay, you took it down. He took it down. And that's the only photo I took that night. Well, I didn't even take the photo. That's the only photo that we took, but he took it down. I want to thank you so much, James. I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate you. But that's that. Like I said, I laughed. My wife laughed. It was like, it was no big thing. But is this what we're going to get into in this political season? This is going to be crazy. Let's talk about these things, man. Who you all see winning the next general election? I believe that the House of Assembly will be prorogued. I told you all that Perry Christie made some pronouncements back in 2012 about 2012. And between 2012 and 2017, Perry Christie would have taken on this kind of a position and make these kind of pronouncements to say that we want to be able to ensure that we can have like a fixed date and always call election around May. We said that. Some information came out today indicating that there's a possibility that we can be able to go to election on May 12th. May 12th is... Let's look and see when May 12th is. What the hell is going on with my internet? This is crazy. All right, so May 12th is a Tuesday. May 12th is a Tuesday. May 10th is Mother's Day. May 12th is a Tuesday, right? The House is prorogued on the 27th of March, Friday the 27th of March. The House of Assembly is prorogued Friday the 27th of March, which is today. The House of Assembly, in my estimation, will be dissolved at their sitting on April 7th. April 7th. When they get back into the House of Assembly on April 6th. Is it the 6th or the 7th? On April 8th. I think they're coming back that week, right? Anyway, whenever the House of Assembly come back that week, I believe the first sitting will be the dissolution of the House of Assembly. The dissolving of the House of Assembly. And if the House of Assembly is dissolved on April 7th or April 8th, right? Then you're going to give it 30 days between the 8th and between the 8th of May, which is a Friday, and the 12th of May, which is a Monday. I don't believe that the Prime Minister will go to an election on a Friday and then Sunday is Mother's Day. I don't believe that he would do that. I don't believe that he would do that. You don't want some of these mothers who are going to lose to be crying like that over their flowers and slapping roses in their face trying to be able to catch their tears. Because everybody ain't gonna win. They believe Jesus Christ on everybody's side. He is, He's the Lord of all. He is the Lord of the Israelites, the Philistines, the Gentiles. He's the Lord of all. Yeah. But the truth is that it's only going to be one victor. It's only going to be one victor. And when we look at it, we have to make a determination who that victor will be. And if I'm looking at it now, some people is going to have a hard time. Some people are going to have a hard time. Some people are going to have a difficult time. They are. We keep praying for y'all. We hope y'all don't get stressed out and you know what I mean? Like, you gotta calm down. The fella say that everybody don't necessarily, everybody have a speech written for when they lose, for when they win. But everybody don't have a ready to lose face. You gotta work on your ready to lose. You got to work on your ready to lose face. He say everybody got a speech just in case they win. But everybody don't have a ready to lose face. Everybody don't have a ready to lose face. I saw I saw one of the ladies, formerly from the Free National Movement. She used to work very closely with the Free National Movement. And when I was vying for a particular position, and looking for the nomination for West Grand, Bahama, and Bimini. Listen to me. Let me tell you something. If you ponder upon these things, depression will tiptoe itself into your life. You realize the malicious and maniacal way that man deals with things. You become overwhelmed with stress and depression. If you sit down and ponder these things, don't sit down and think about these things and tell somebody, come and remind you, boy, how would you really, my God, you had it last time, I remember. Oh, Jesus, this is what you come to remind me about today? This will become and even as she said that, it's just that it triggers memories. It triggers memories. I'll never forget. Peter Turnquest called me and congratulated me. Iram Lewis called me and congratulated me. For the seat that he got, Iram Lewis called me and congratulated me. And the Prime Minister ain't called me yet. The PM ain't called me yet. Iram Lewis called me. Michael Pintard called me and said, hey, Howard, hold on. I hang up the phone. I got 3 calls back to back. Peter called me. Michael called me. Oh, no. Iram called me. Peter called me. And then Michael called me. Iram and Peter was blunt, straight to the point, and gave me the information. Mike started to, and then he, hold on, bang. And I was out. I would have been in the House Assembly right today still. And y'all need a bulldozer to take me out there because I was going to win every lap. Every lap. What? My God. Oh, I didn't know you could run the 5,000 like that. Yeah, every year's 1,000. I can run it again, baby. Didn't know you could run like that, Howard. For a big fella, you could, boy, you got the marathon and you got endurance because I beaten everybody who tries step. I got to be like Frazette. I can beat him by 3,000. Frazette think she can beat Paco by 3,000. I say, Frazette, hold on, Frazette, hold on. She say, what, Howard? What? I said, listen, we had a good conversation last night. And so it doesn't, it wasn't great to see them, to see it end in such a manner. But I had a great time last night. Yeah. When I start to think about this thing, man, listen, man, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. Let me stick to my media. Let me develop my media place. Let me do all what I have to do. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me get this established. Let me get this going. Let's get this off the ground. Let's do all these things. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then we could be able to look at something else if this is what God has for us. I'm not putting myself nowhere that if I have significant opposition, this ain't where God want me to be. If I have significant opposition, which I've had relentlessly, I just got to consider this ain't where God going to be. Did I ever tell you the time I was trying to move to Turks and Caicos? Did I ever tell you about this? I took 2 weeks on my honeymoon. Now, I wanted a better place. I wanted an opportunity. I wanted some stuff. My wife and I, for a late honeymoon, we went in 2009. We got married in 2000. No, it wasn't 2009. I'm sorry. It was 2005. 2005. Because we conceived our son in Turks and Caicos. This one that you know. Super fresh. Yeah, this is what's going to happen, sir. What you think you're here for? Just to be pretty? No. Boom. Let's get pregnant. Amen. Praise God. Listen, I wanted 1,000 children. But I want to make a mother goose. So, we in Turks and Caicos Island. And my wife and I we there for 2 weeks. I stayed with my uncle Kenneth. We stayed in Leawood, right? My family is from Blue Hills on Provo. Blue Hills is my family in Provo. And his house is in Leawood. So we stayed with my uncle. And my cousin was living with him also. So I know my cousin. And she had a friend over also staying with him. So he had a big place. And he was just by himself. So we had no problem. And I stayed there. We rented a car. And we was there for 2 weeks. Just riding around, going to IGA. Expenses. 2005. Expenses. It was expensive as hell. And just being able to enjoy ourselves. I decided to be able to go for a couple job interviews. I interviewed maybe 3. This is when they're building the Sands and the Palms. So there's building the Sands, building the Palms, and this was before they had the formal conversation about belonging status. But my uncle, Felix, took me, my father's uncle, which is my uncle. He took me to the commissioner and meet them. This is my nephew, right? So I said, hey. Yeah, the boy coming down, and they start talking. He won't come down here, and I told him he got to come get his thing straight. So I said, okay, no problem, right? So we met, right? And took me down to Auntie Sylvia. I would go by them, hang out every day, and just sit down and listen to them. And I tell you, I enjoy sitting down. I don't know, maybe I get this thing from my granddaddy, but I used to be in the shop just smiling and listening to these old men having conversation. Just watching them. And so I guess it's become a part of me. I enjoy sitting around older people, fascinated by the culture that existed before, and just listening to the concept of where we were when we were younger. And so I just sat there, and I just listened, and I smiled. And in the midst of it, just smiling and being able to do that, it became more serious. It became an engaging conversation about possibility. Now, one of the things I did not like at all was 5 Keys, right? I had some friends who from 8 Mile Rock. It was a lot of Pioneer boys and Seagrape boys and Jonestown boys, which have Turks Island roots in Turks Island. And so they were on a space they called Five Keys, which was sort of a trouble space, right? And you go down there, get some conch salad and so forth and so on. But there's a lot of Haitians around there. And so one of the friends who I would go on to school with and who been to Cuba with me also says, boy, Howard, again, if you want to move to Turks Island, you're going to need to buy a gun. So I said, buy a gun? Then I'm going to buy a gun for? I don't make no sense. I was just reconnecting to identify who I would know and who I would see in Turks Island. He said, boy, Howard, if you move to TI, you're going to have to buy a gun. And so I said, I don't buy no gun. What the hell I got to buy a gun for? That don't make no sense. Anyway, long story short, I had no problem for 13 days. 13 and a half days, I had no problem. On the last day, in preparation for me to be able to leave, I left the next day. I was leaving the next day. I told my wife, I said, come go with me again down by Annie Sylvia them to tell them bye. I can see them in a couple of weeks. Because my wife and I had already decided that we're going to move to Turks and Caicos. My family had already decided that this is a lot that I could build my house on. So they had already identified a piece of land for me to build my house on. And all these things, like it was about to be real. I was making, as a front office agent, I was a front office agent at the time. I was making, I want to tell you, I was making about $1,600 a month on average, about $1,600 a month. And on average, that would have doubled in Turks and Caicos. Now, the bills was higher, but it would have doubled in Turks and Caicos. And just for interviews and all these particular things, I was a great prospect, and they wanted to see more and more of me. And I was supposed to be able to send some people some stuff. And so this was exciting for me, man. I thought this was the next step for me. I was taking hold of my future by myself. And I didn't necessarily put God in it. At this point in my life, I had an understanding of working and acknowledging God, but not necessarily putting God first and asking for alignment. So I would work and incorporate the idea of God, but not necessarily being able to be placed in a position where I acknowledge and give supremacy and acknowledgement and allow God's will to be done in my life. It was my will, and I guess some people call it the permissive will of God, not necessarily the divine will, right? The ordained will, right, is the permissive will. Like, all right, if that's what you want, then all right, brother, that's what you get. Boom, right? Which I understand is a bunch of foolishness, by the way. I just want to be very clear about that. So I looked at it, and I had this kind of a conversation, and in the midst of having this conversation, I said, okay, no problem, we can be good. We can be good. Everything is going to be okay. We didn't have no problem. Everything can be good. So my wife said, okay, let's go. I said, good, baby, let's go. Right? So we working. Go on the hill, Annie Sylvia. Go on there, hug her up. Tell her I can see you all later. Go on the hill, Uncle Felix. Right? Hail everybody. Say, all right, I can see you all later, right? Hail everybody, right? And I say, I can see you all later. I can see you when I get back. As I was driving home, some of that very, very fine beach sand was in the road. And there was this car, just was going slow. It was driving fast, regular. And then it stopped in the middle of the road. And I was behind it. You know, we drive too close behind cars. And Leeward Highway was just, it was just naked. So it was just us two on the road. And so I stopped. When they stopped, I stopped. But my car slid in the sand. You understand? Little small, little car, big as this table. My car slid in the sand. Now it slid and it came this close to hitting the car. I ain't gonna lie. It came this close to hitting the car, like this. But their car wasn't hit. Nothing happened. And so I thought this is gonna be, people just jump out and look at the bumper and all these things like that. These boys, Haitian boys, I gotta be able to prerequisite the story like this. These Haitian boys jump out the car and they was drinking gin and juice and it's just right? They jump out the car and light the car up with all their drinks. Boof, 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 boof. So I said, what the hell is this? So I reverse, going around them and pull off driving. So I said, man, these guys, them crazy, man. I don't know what's going on with them. When I look back, these dudes on me like this. I drive and they on me like this. And I move and I say, Jesus, these fellas trying to kill me. I call, I driving on Leeward, right? I flying on this little car. I flying trying to get away from these dudes. These dudes flying behind me. I said, Lord, if I stop this car, these boys can kill me today. It was 4 Haitian boys drunk in the car. 4 Haitian boys drunk, young boys, drunk in the car. I never was scared like this in my entire life. I had 13 and a half days of absolute bliss, prepared to move to Turks and Caicos, and my friend tell me I got to buy a gun if I come to TI. Gun for what? This don't make no sense. All these beautiful places. I'm not coming around all these gangsters and killers. I come in here to be decent, right? In the midst of my decency, boom, in the back there, flying down there, right? And as I fly down and I did all these particular things, right? It's Friday, so this is a wind down type of thing, so don't fight me, right? As I flying down there, and I called my wife, I said, open the door for me, right? When I get inside, just keep the door open, I can come inside, right? So you say, okay, no problem. I fly in Leeward, I fly around a couple of cars, I cut off the light real quick. When I cut off the light, I swing around in the yard, right? Normally you just park out in front. I swing in the yard, I swing around the back so you don't see the car, because he had like a fence and all kind of bush around the yard, right? So I swing around the back in his little car so you don't see the car, not knowing he had one of those sensor lights. You know what I mean? Like the sensor lights is cut on and off with motion sensor lights, right? So just when I turned the corner around the backside, I thought I was free. I said, okay, whew, I got him. Because it started off at dusk. By the time as we got home, it was dark. By the time as I got home speeding on that road, it was dark. And I fling around that corner and the duster dawn light, the motion detector lights. When the car passed it, fling, it cut on. You could see the car in the yard. These Haitians fly in the yard. I said, oh, Jesus, God Almighty, I can't believe I come to Turks and Caicos to die. This don't make no sense, Jesus. You bring me to Turks and Caicos to die? This don't make no sense. So I said, what I can do? I didn't have time to get out of my car and run in the house. Understand? These 4 boys, now they get cutlass and bottle running through the yard looking for me. I'm watching them, right? Let me tell you how I'm watching them. And so as I pulled to the back door, I could see my wife, but she didn't have the door open. Now she yelling at these boys. Y'all better. And I hate when people, you can't see this man and in problems. What the hell you even opening your mouth for? Next thing you know, they turn the wrath on you. They ain't say nothing. They ain't say nothing to my cousin. They ain't say nothing to the people who was there. Right? I fly round the backside. I jet out. And only Jesus Christ could have told me this. Say, take off your shirt. Take off your shirt. I said, okay, no problem. I can take off my shirt. Take off your shirt, take off your singlet. Boom. I take off my shirt, take off my singlet. I ball it up, push it in my pants so you can't see it. There was a hedge of, you know, this have like around the beaches have mangroves and all these particular things like that. But this was also a hedge. You know, Turks and Caicos is a little bit drier, so it had like not necessarily cactus, but it was like some prickly bush and all these things like that. And then big prickle, right? Big prickle, right? It was a hedge, and it was very dark in that hedge. And you couldn't see. It was like thick shrub. I dive over that, and then I hold my breath. I lay on my back. 1 million prickle was in my back. But bareback. So you don't see the shirt. You understand? You don't see the white in the shirt. So 1 million, and I laying down there in the thing, right? And you would look at this and say, nobody will hide in this. Nobody would hide in this. Because it was prickles. Nobody would hide in this. So they was running past, up and down, running past. I could hear them and see them running up and down, up and down. And I in the bush, deep down in the bush, I could see the stars. I said, Jesus Christ, Lord, this what you bring me to Turks and Caicos for, to die? And Lord, you get me out of this, I will never come back to Turks and Caicos. I put my phone on vibrate. I did everything like that so you can't hear. And I was in that bush mostly but 10 minutes as they decided to, eventually leave. I don't know if they thought I was inside or what happened, but they decided to eventually leave. They left. I tell you the whole story to say to you that the idea of being able to move to Turks and Caicos was not in my favor, and it was not the call of God in my life. But I could tell you, when I moved to Nassau, I thought this is going to be trial and tribulation and trouble and people cussing and fighting and fearful for their life and gunshots and killing and this. And I was always afraid of Nassau. This has been one of the most hospitable places I've ever lived in my life. I was in Cuba. Remember I was in Cuba. I was in the States for a little while. Tried to go on Turks Island for a little while. And, even in other spaces and other islands, visiting other spaces. Nassau has been one of the most hospitable, even up to today, one of the most hospitable places I've ever lived in my life. The story that they tell about Nassau doesn't exist for the body of people. It just doesn't exist. And I don't know whether or not I am the exception or this is the rule of Nassau, because I know some people don't have the same challenges or the same experiences, rather. But this has been one of the most hospitable. This island, has opened its arms to me from the very first day I touched the shore. My cousin Maggie Colebrook brought me here, Maggie, and she said, "Oh, just come to Nassau, spend some time with me." She used to go around where Brave Dem used to hang out. Right, this is before he was the prime minister. So this is when he was the leader of the deputy prime minister, right, and minister. So she would say, I think it was the Minister of Works at the time, right? So she said, go hail him, let's go hail Brave, right? And he would be by Julie Dem, sitting down, having a drink by Julie Dem. And I went and I hailed him. I said, hey, what's up? And I just talking. And we just talking. And they said, boy, you did well. You did well. We were watching you and everybody. Every political person she introduced me to, boy, how would you did well? We was watching you and Grand Bahama. I said, did well. And I Lewis said, listen, Nassau opened their arms to me. Opportunity. When I went for a job, I was offered 3 jobs when I gone for one. They said, you sure you don't want whatever, any one of these you want, you could have. And that is how I knew that there was favor on my life. And there was a release to move in the city of Nassau. I tell God, I say, God, if you want me to move here, I need a townhouse. I don't want no one ever live in it before. I promise you from here to Jesus, this is the truth. I said, Lord, I can want a townhouse. I don't want no one to live in it before. It could be 2-bedroom, upstairs, downstairs, beautiful. I want a nice little pool in the yard, and I want to be able to afford it, Jesus. You do that for me, I'll move here. I ride up and down eastern Nassau, ride all through these people's place. I ride in western Nassau, this and that. I tell Jesus, I think I like the west, Lord. I like the west and close to the airport. Let me see if I can find something. I ride up on this job site. Let's give you a lot of my information, but I'm just trying to let you know this is where faith has taken you. I drive up on this job site, and in driving on the job site, there's a couple of Haitian guys doing some work on the outside. And I pulled right up on them. I said, where Bossman? Right? And they said, Bossman no here. I said, call Bossman for me. I called Bossman. There was 3 units in this kind of a small area designed more specifically for townhouses. So there were like 5 townhouses on one side, and he was building 3 brand new townhouses. It's right up my alley. This is right up my alley. I pulled right up on it. I say, hey, call Bossman. And I say, hey, man, what's up, man? He say, hey, what's up, man? I said, listen, man, I want to rent one of these places. Boom, boom, boom. He said, yeah, it ain't finished yet. I say, no, it ain't finished yet, but when you get it finished, I want it. So he said, all right, let me see exactly what's what then. Come meet me on Sunday. Sunday I came back to him. I didn't have my money. Sunday I came back to him. I pulled up on him. Look how God is work. I telling you the truth. I pulled up on him right there where I met him, sitting down with a white man I know. Sitting down with a white man that Maggie introduced me to, who was sitting down, she would carry me to various places where people would hang out, right? Movers and shakers. And she would just introduce me to different people, right? This guy sitting down there, the owner sitting down there with this white man who was, he was a tenant. And I say, hey, he said, hey, Howard. I said, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? This is talking, right? And so the landlord say, you know this man? So the white guy says, yes, I know him, man. I met him with his cousin Maggie, right? So I said, yeah, man, we met, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, man, he's a good guy, right? This what the white man say about me. And the landlord say, all right, you got the place. Give me $700. From here to Jesus. That's all I know. That's all I know. Beautiful townhouse, pool, affordable, brand new, everything what I asked for. I said, okay, God, this is where you want me to be for now. And I would know when it's time to transit. See, you all have to become sensitive to the things of God in your life, and you have to be able to put God first. So many times we are so feverish and so eager to be able to put our ideas first, but not necessarily subjecting those ideas, submitting those ideas, being able to gracefully bow before the Father and presenting those ideas and saying to him, Lord, not bless these ideas, but what is your will for my life? What is the steps that I should take to be able to fulfill the purpose that you've called me to fulfill in this particular life? And when you do that, you will be absolutely amazed, astonished to be able to understand that there is a path. There is a path for you. There is a path for you. I say all of these words to tell you that I had not gotten that path with politics. But it was astonishing to see how the path to open up a radio station, a studio, and other things like that happened for me. Absolutely mind-boggling. You have to know when God called you to do some things, to do the things that he places before you. You said, my burden is light. My yoke is easy. He ain't going to give you nothing with this kind of contention. He's not going to give you anything to cause you to be able to be stressed out. There shouldn't be supplements. You have to figure out a supplementary income just to be. No. That ain't how God is work. That ain't how God is work. He can take care of you. He can cover you. He can make sure you're straight. And that's your Bible lesson for today. God is a good God. Let's be sensitive and understand. Let's be sensitive and understand, especially in these last days and time. This ain't the last days and time that you would get from the Prophecy Church or the Jumper Church or any of these particular things. This is literally, you could see the sky shifting. You could see orbs coming down. You could see volcanoes erupting. You could see lakes drying up. You could hear. You could see the demonic approach and things happening in movies. And if that, you could identify that as the sort of the proclamation and the prophetic approach from the demonic prophets, that this is our expectation through these particular movies. All the movies continue to be amplified with some level of darkness. You will notice something happening in this life. Babies could see it. Your children waking up with peculiar dreams, old people telling you these things, more prophets coming out, people trying to deceive you. This life is coming to an end. And I keep saying, I said, Lord, you never give me no chance like my daddy and my mommy and my grandmother and my grandfather and my great-grandparents had to be able to go through life and watch another generation grow from what they've done. I said, but I know that you have released me for such a time as this. So whatever that thing is, Lord, let your divine will be done. Let your kingdom come. And let's move in that particular direction, in that path. And that's just what it is. This is for you today. It's time for us to be able to get ourselves together. You're more interested in being able to see a couple dollars being released from a political organization or an individual. You're more interested to see what somebody can do for you, how they can bring this little thing, or whatever the case may be. Right? You are far too interested in these particular things, but you have to subject your will to God. Not my will, Lord, but yours. Things are happening around us, and we have to prepare ourselves for the inevitability of change. If we're going to be absolutely honest whilst we're in this position, trying to be able to figure out who we're voting for, who's going to win the next general election, so forth and so on, we got to be very clear and honest with ourselves. If this oil crisis persists, if there are trials and tribulations, if there's issues that continue to be able to happen, and all these things, let's be very clear, let's be honest, let's talk. And the importation of food slows down, or we can't produce food, or the world stops out the movement of these particular things in it. And then even if it doesn't stop, if it slows down significantly and we're not able to feed our kids the way that we need to, if we're not able to feed ourselves, if people are not moving from the United States of America here and so forth and so on, there is a challenge. Let me take Anton. Go ahead, Anton. How you doing, man? Hello? Hey, Anton, what's up? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, Anton, what's up? Can you hear me?
Moving from United States of
Anton.
America here and so forth and so on.
Anton, just listen to me. Can you hear me? Oh, Jesus. Let me call him back.
You have been redirected.
That was quick. I don't know what happened.
You have been redirected.
Anton. Anton.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, what?
Hey, can you hear me?
What's going on with your phone?
I don't know. You should be able to hear me.
I can't hear you. If you can hear me,
I
can't
can hear you.
anything.
Oh, God,
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know why you can't hear me. Let me take this out and pop it back in. Anton. Are you right here, Anton? You should be able to hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you right now.
Okay,
can hear
go
you.
ahead.
Good afternoon.
Hey, what's
How
up?
you doing, Albert?
Everything good, man? What's up?
Listen, I totally forgot, man. I caught the tail end of the show that particular day, and when I called in, I wasn't successful. I was caught up doing some other stuff, but I was supposed to say to you, I saw you, the wife celebrated a birthday recently, Howard.
March 12th.
March 12th, yes. And
She
so,
celebrated her birthday
like,
March 12th.
Yes, apologies, man. I was supposed to make that wish to you that that you and the wife enjoy a special day.
We did.
And the
We
family?
went to Bahama to the jazz club.
Right.
We had a great time.
Excellent. That's wonderful, because Howard, at the end of the day, after all of the frustrations, after all of the disappointments, it's the wife and the children who will bring you that contentment and that prolonged contentment that will be well worth it beyond everything else. And so that is so important. I'm very happy to hear you say that, Howard.
Yeah.
God continue blessings over the wife. May her heart desires be granted to her, and may God continuously grant her health, strength, and good soundness of mind as she continues to enjoy each and every day with you and her family.
Amen.
Right, Howard?
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Now, good afternoon to the nation. Now, I saw you started to go spiritual there for a minute, right?
Yeah, just
So
for a
I say,
minute.
boy, look at You know, I was getting into some politics, right? So I was just listening, right? And I see that time ticking away. So I said, let me just call in any event. Howard,
Go ahead.
you were saying something about minutes a few minutes ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
A few minutes ago, you were talking about former PM. Who was it? No, it was a gentleman who you said when you went to meet with him about renting one of his townhouses that was under construction,
Yeah.
and there was a Caucasian gentleman who was sitting there and talking with him, who you happen to know,
Yeah.
and he spoke so highly about you and so well about you,
Mm-hmm.
it gave the owner of the complex confidence, immediate confidence,
Right away.
to align with your spirit and to provide you and the family, the wife and the family, with the opportunity to rent from his very nice location.
Brand new
in his-
location, Boatswain Hill. Beautiful. It was great.
Yes.
It was nice.
Yes, yes. And you know, you reminded me of something just now, and this is it's so funny how I think I may have shared this with you before offline, but you reminded me of one time recently, right? Where I was looking at a particular school, right,
Mm-hmm.
for my son, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can hear me out?
Yeah, I could go ahead.
And former Prime Minister ministers there, believe it or not, right? Former PM ministers there, and he told me, you know, me and him spoke for a few moments offline, you know, and he asked me one or two questions, et cetera, et cetera. This was around the time, right? I guess right before their battle heated up for the challenge for leader in the afternoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Howard, Howard,
Yeah.
you should have been telling the people, telling the leaders at the school who were all grumbling and to get over each other and speak with him, right? He telling them, this is Anton Thompson. He's a very good man. Whatever opportunities you can provide for him, you should go ahead and do that. He's a very good man. Blah blah blah. So you just made me laugh, and my mind ran back to that moment.
It's
in time.
peculiar how things just happen. Yeah.
Minutes. You know, but I wish him every success. Just for the record, you know. However, you know, I think the country knows where I stand as it relates to whom I support.
PLP all the way. PLP.
Robin Donline, former senator. But I do wish former Prime Minister Minnis every success. I think that he still very much has a political role to play in this country. And I believe that his voice is an important voice in these times in our country, despite some of his downfalls when he served as Prime Minister, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever that mixed bag is, you know, that's for the people and the Lord to roll out. But look, what I wanted to say to you, Howard, as it relates to what's happening in the country with politics, do you feel? I'm curious from your perspective, right? Do you feel the political energy in the country or on the ground?
No,
Are
I
you
think it's
feeling
flat.
anything, Howard?
No, I think it's flat.
Huh?
I think it's flat.
Yes,
I think it's very flat.
You know, Howard, I can't help but admit that I don't feel that political fever that you would normally feel.
Yeah, I can be honest with you. I'm more excited about the proroguing of the House of Assembly because I believe that this will be the introduction of the political cycle and this excitement that we're looking for. You understand what I'm saying? I'm hoping that now this would activate the excitement in this political season.
But Howard, I don't even see that as the stimulator, and I'll tell you why. Because generally speaking, Howard, people's energy would already been through the roof, based upon all the activities that has already happened, right? Based upon all the build-up that has already taken place, based upon some of the pre-announcements that were made by party leaders within the PLP, right? Based upon all of the galvanizing of troops that is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet still, Howard, yet still, with all of this happening, Howard, I still feel it's almost like if you're in the middle of a storm, Howard, and in the middle of that storm, everything just goes quiet. You begin to wonder, is the storm really happening or occurring right now, as you're in the middle of that storm, right? And then the next moment, you get hit with the impact of that storm, and you're reminded very swiftly, oh yeah, the storm is still going on. That's how I feel right now, Howard. I feel flat. I don't feel that peaking of political energy.
And I can be honest with you, that's because we don't see the money moving around for the FNM. We don't see the money moving around for the PLP. If it is moving, it's moving very strategically and stealthy. We don't feel it moving around. There aren't people being touched by these particular things. There isn't this kind of word that's floating in the city to say, yeah, boy, you get straight. Oh, the bike touched down. These things ain't happening. Right. Traditionally, you would have heard these things. And I don't want to be able to be naive to this. This is what's happening in our political system, and this is what has happened for decades, for generation. And so our expectation for the rhythm that exists within the political sphere and within the political time is that something got to move, and that currency causes people to move. We don't see that. Now, we've seen the PLP, if we only can be able to give comparison, we have seen the PLP take care of who they must to be able to make sure that these people show up, that they get something in your pocket, make sure you're fed, or whatever they have to do, because people didn't get show up for nothing.
Hold on. I need to put a hold on you with that one.
Yeah, but I'm just saying to you, I mean, whatever it is. Okay, for instance, when I ran in 8 Mile, when I ran in Central Grand Bahama, I knew that this was volunteerism, and I told the people this is volunteerism. But if you have people with you 7 days a week, they have children and this and that, and they with you 12 hours a day, you feel compelled to put something in their pocket.
Right.
You feel compelled to, hey, listen, get some grocery. This get if you're children, something like that. You feel compelled because you don't have the money, and you know that their time is money. They put in time into these things. And so I'm saying that to say the people that are showing up for the PLP, I can't tell you that this is what I see or what I know, but I expect that those persons are being taken care of in one way or another. It may not necessarily be with cash up front, but it got to be some level of compensation that persons are being taken care of with. It's just what it is. And we don't see that much persons being able to do that for the Free National Movement, maybe because the buying in land yet, the plane ain't land yet for the Free National Movement. But that thing is hovering around the tower, and they're trying to be able to get it to get clearance to be able to land. And I believe as soon as with this proroguing of the House of Assembly, with then the dissolution of the House of Assembly, we believe that we'll see the Free National Movement get the finances that they need to be able to contest professionally in this general election. We didn't see it yet. The campaign, the campaign launch they did was a good showing. Their convention that they had last year was a good showing, but there's too much pockets of silence, too much pockets of stagnation that exists between one event to another. And so we know that has to do with money. And so we expect after the pronouncements are made that there should be a release both for the FNM and the PLP. Now all of us should be able to get excited in one way or another.
Boy, Howard, I don't know how to feel, Howard, because when you look at the fact that we have low voter turnout, right?
I don't know how Harrison Thompson could say 80% or higher is going to show up. Harrison Thompson from Parliamentary Registration Department, the Commissioner. I don't know how he could say that we should be able to have 80 to 85% voter turnout at the polls. More than 200,000 people have already registered. That don't make a difference. That don't make a difference. You understand? Okay, let's be clear.
Why he feels that way?
No, he just looking at the numbers and the increase of these particular numbers, and I think he equates that with some level of enthusiasm and excitement. And I keep saying to people that young people use this voter registration. Okay, so my daughter get registered, right? My daughter, right? She's just turned 18 on the 16th, and she just registered day before yesterday. She's so excited. She didn't send the pictures. She in Grand Bahama. She's been in Grand Bahama for the past maybe 2 years. I don't know how long she was there, right? She's so excited, and she sent all the pictures, and she showed me the voter ID, and she's so excited, big smiles from ear to ear. And me and her mother called her, and we say, "Hey, you're an adult now, hey?" She said, "Man, mommy, I was just about to go and purchase something. You wouldn't believe, $31 for 3 items. I couldn't believe it. I said, my God, right?" So I laugh. I say, "Oh," my wife say, "Oh, but when your daddy buy it or when I buy it, it's just $31." Now you was an adult. Now you was an adult and you got to fend for yourself.
Now you got to pay your own way.
You got to pay your own way. You identify these things, you're getting crazy. So we laugh to say that she get her voter's card, and that in our society is a recognition of adulthood, right?
Right.
A lot of young children use this as an ID or verification of adulthood. I can vote. Look at this. I got my job. You know how much young girls and young men have driver's license, don't drive? This is a representation of maturity. I am moving to maturity. I don't know how Harrison Thompson could equate that to people who actually coming out to the polls to vote. Historically, that has never been.
Right.
That has never been. You understand?
Yeah. Not only that, and I could appreciate in his role, I could appreciate his enthusiasm as well, right? Because he has a responsibility to oversee that process, right?
Yeah.
And I guess at the same time to try and encourage the population, right, or stimulate the population, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just looking at a recent example, in the Golden House constituency, right? We had more persons registered to vote than registered to vote for the general election of 2021 and the by-election just held, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Howard?
Yeah.
But we had I think, if my memory serves me right, I think we had more persons, even though we had an increase in registered persons, we had less persons who participated in the by-election than participated in the general elections, even though we had an increase of registered persons in the Golden House constituency, right?
Right.
And so that's like a one-off parameter, right? That if you're looking in recent times to give an indication of where Bahamians are in line with what you were suggesting, right? Because ultimately none of us know for a fact, right? We can only speak on what we feel or what we believe, but if there's any indication what happened in Golden House, we most likely will have more persons registering. But the problem is getting them to come out and cast their vote. That's the problem, right?
Yes, I agree with you.
But that within itself, Howard, even though a government will be formed, regardless of how many persons show up, that in itself tells a story of its own, and it's not a good story, Howard. It is not a good story, right? But getting back to what I was saying in terms of this quiet before the storm, I didn't expect this to be the case, frankly speaking, right? I expected, Howard, for the energy to be through the roof, locally, on the ground, across the constituencies, with Bahamians expressing that deep interest and desire publicly to come out and vote, cast their vote for the candidate of their choice.
Let's wait till Holy Week over and make a determination. I mean, it should have already started, to be honest with you, but let's see whether or not the excitement will kick up after Holy Week. By after Easter Monday, and everything is everything, and the House of Assembly is back in effect, we should be able to see, in fact, that week, we should be able to see the PLP go to a rally. This should be a big damn rally.
Before we end today, Howard, so I don't forget what I remember, let me add this. See, drumming up the interest in participating in your constitutional right of voting in a general election, which is one of the most important decisions that you will make that will help to shape your country's present and certainly your country's future, not only for a 5-year period, because those impacts are lasting, right? Therefore, that responsibility does not just solely lie with the governing party, Howard, because we have an official opposition who is a part of the government, right? They have responsibilities in the Constitution, and they are recognized as a result. So they have every responsibility, similarly to the government of the Bahamas, to set aside petty politics and do the right thing, join hands, and encourage Bahamians to come and participate and cast their vote. They have the responsibility because at the end of the day, Howard, the people will talk about the FNM and the PLP at this time as we are preparing to go to general elections. If we have a worsening of numbers coming to the polls, as has been the trend over the last 20 years in our country.
I want to have a further conversation about that. I think we should expand upon that, and because I don't think that this would be a fatal blow to the PLP, but it actually is indicative of what's not happening in the Free National Movement. That people are coming out to vote, but the Free National Movement has the responsibility of being able to cast a vision. Like I often say, the PLP definitely cast a vision. The PLP continues to tell you to stay with progress and continue with progress, so forth and so on. But the truth is that the PLP's language, their preparation, everything is to their base. They want you to be able to come out to their base. They're talking to their base, but they're talking to the entire country. The language is specific to their base. The Free National Movement has to cast a wider net. They have to pick up that additional 60%. They have to pick up all these people. They got to be able to capture my imagination as a disenchanted voter. They got to capture my imagination as an independent voter. The FNM has to do so much more to be able to get people out to vote. If a low voter turnout shows up for the PLP, their base is in that, and victory is inevitable for them. A high voter turnout always means, or could mean, let's be like that, let's be decent like that. A higher voter turnout could mean that the disenchanted, the independents, all these other persons have decided to be able to take back their position and take back their country in this particular stead. So if we see a low voter turnout, it could be able to be. I really don't know how to make this lap. If we see a low voter turnout, we know this can be for the PLP. If we see a higher voter turnout and the PLP wins, that means that Brave Davis is more popular than we all thought that he would be.
Something that I was giving some thought to, right along the lines of what we're talking about right now, voters and voter turnout and the increase of voter registration in the by-election in Golden Isles, and if that translates to be the same in the general election, Howard, it also could be that younger persons are being inspired to come and register, while we are seeing a recognizable increase, not just a marginal increase, but a recognizable, I wouldn't say substantial, I would say a recognizable increase in young or in the voter numbers for persons registering to vote, right? So now it remains to be seen, and I believe to both the PLP and the FNM's credit, I believe that some level of energy and focus has been placed on getting the younger voters more interested in participating, at least through registering. We haven't seen that translate to date in younger persons actually voting, right? But I believe that whichever party can convince the young persons to come out and vote in this election this year will be the victor at the polls. And I also believe, Howard, I'll end right here, I also believe, Howard, as it relates to Kalani, right? And former Prime Minister Minnis. One of the things that creates greater equilibrium for him in Kalani is the fact that you have a strong coalition candidate in Kalani, right? who has the potential to appeal not only to
I don't know if that can work in his
professional
favor,
women.
though. I don't know if that can work in his favor.
I can tell you. Hold on, hear me out, Howard. Who has the ability not only to appeal to professional women, right, but to everyday women and to young people, based upon the campaign that she's running, based upon what I've been examining, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Howard, that could mean a pulling of votes from the PLP and the FNM, right? Or that could mean a pulling of new votes into the consideration, right? Either way, Howard, either way, that stretches thinner the voting bloc for the PLP and for the FNM, which gives
Kalani
women
is going to be
at
a
the end of
seat
the day,
to watch. Kalani is going to be a seat to watch.
which gives him a better fighting chance than he would have had it just been himself, Barnett Ellis, and Robin Dornline. Had it just been those three, by far, his chances have decreased tremendously. But his chances have now leveled out with the strong campaign that has been put forward by the deputy leader. I think she's the deputy leader of the COI. She's perhaps their strongest candidate, if you ask me.
I think she
Perhaps
is.
their
She's
strongest
very good. I don't know if she's the strongest.
If you ask
but
me.
yeah. Well,
I believe that she is their strongest candidate.
she's
Howard.
very
I
good.
have my reasons.
Yeah. But I appreciate you, Anton, man. Thank you so very kindly, man. Have a beautiful weekend, and hopefully we can hear from you next week sometime. All right?
Absolutely. Blessings, Howard.
Okay, man. Blessings,
Definitely
man.
look forward to the conversation. Thank you. Have
man.
a great weekend.
Thank you, man. You too. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show today. I want to thank you so kindly for being able to tune in with us, have a good conversation. We got a little bit things in there. I just want to kind of go drive home and let you know that, all this earthly business that we continue to be able to talk about is definitely important. And we all have to find ourselves in the position that we do the things that we must. Whilst we render to Caesar what is Caesar's. But the truth is, the truth, not the facts, not the modified truth, the truth, the transparent, unadulterated truth is that we are mortal men and we will pass away. And we have to get our houses in order. We have to align our hearts and make sure that it has a true north to where God has called us to be, to the purpose that He's called us to fulfill, because every one of us was born in this time for a reason. Let's remember Revelation chapter 21, verse 8. If you think that cowering in the corner and not participating and throwing your hands up and say, well, you know, ain't got nothing to do with me. If you think that is saving you and preserving your life, your integrity, your position, because of how you see things, Revelation chapter 21, verse 8 says, the very first thing, but the lake of fire is reserved for the cowards, the fearful, the cowards. Cowards. And then the whoremongers and the lusters and the this and the that and the liars and the cheaters and the murderers, so forth and so on. Yeah, but the very first thing that you never expected is cowards. You got to be courageous in this time. This should be very clear. You have to be courageous and make a stand. All this kind of I can spoil my ballot. Stupidness, the devil is a liar. All this kind of, this is my democratic right. I don't have to vote. Okay. While the Haitians scramble for a purple card. We have to understand the value of what we have. Appreciate it by being able to participate, if it not for you, for the next generation. Let's cut this kind of a selfishness off and align ourselves with the purpose and the goal that God has called us to. Let's do what we are called to do. I want to thank you guys so very kindly for being able to be with us today. It's been a beautiful day and a very good conversation. I want to thank you, man. Enjoy your weekend with your little sweet thing in the can. Take her out, feel her up, kiss her up. Don't get her pregnant. For Jesus' sake, this ain't the time to get women pregnant. Unless, these things happen. And then let God's will be done. Amen. Praise God. Thank you guys so much, very kindly, for being able to tune in. I'm going to see you. I don't know if I can see you on Monday. I don't know, I have to make a determination as to which days we're going to be able to do it. We're going to look for the most solemn days. I think we're going to be able to take our time. I know we can go on Friday. We can go on Monday, right? So we can go on Friday. We can go on Monday. But I don't think we can go on Thursday either. I may just go Tuesday, Wednesday. But anyway, we can make a determination. I'll see you guys next week. God Spare Our Lives right here on The Foundation.
I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahama land to the foundation.